Next in this variables or different storage classes, we have extern. So what is this extern? So before going too detail into extern, I'd like to touch on one thing. In C, as we already discussed, we can use hundreds of files. Okay, and there will be .c and .h files. Okay, and before we understand extern, I think let's create a project. Yeah, and see how to make use of external in a system where we have multiple files. For that, first I have to create a project. I'll create an empty project. I'll say tutorial, and this will be my this folder. I want to have it. Okay, I don't want debug information. Okay, no, I can simply clean this thing, or it's not needed anymore. Here I will add one more empty file. Correct. So it's now being added here. So I'll add it as main.c. Okay, so you can see you have to create a project. So you have one .c file. Okay, so in this .c file, what I do? I will have first one hash include stdio.h. Yeah, int main. Int a equal to 20, b equal to 30, int c, and c equal to add a comma b. Okay, and I want to print. Same add function will take, but this add function now will be present in some other file. Okay, and mostly, not mostly, this is the way which is followed in industry. Yep, that you will not write everything in one file. Now I'll add one more file. Okay, let's call it or anything function1.c. Why I used function1.c? Because your function name and the file name not necessarily have to be same. You can have different file name and name of a function within it, or you can also have many functions within a function. Okay, now instead of creating one more variable, I'll directly return a comma b. Yes, this is fine. Now I would like to add one more file, and this will be the header file. Okay, let's see. C++, it says function1.h. Okay, so the moment I create .h, the header file is coming. Here I will include the definition from this. This is like externing. Okay, this is called externing a function. For a function, you can write extern or you can leave it, but for a variable you have to extern. And I will add that header file in this. Okay, now if I compile project, this compiled correctly. See, I'm able to print correct answer. Okay, so I'm able to print correct answer here. Yeah. Let's see how it is working. Yeah. So we already know this is a standard header type, and here I am using a header type which I have created, header file which I have created. This is a header file. Okay, .h file. And name need not be necessarily same function. It is just for a naming convention, meaning whatever functions I have here, the function 1.c, I want to extern those in function 1.h. Okay. Otherwise, if I write xyz.h, then the readability would be difficult. Then I won't be able to understand, okay, xyz.h is externing which ones, function 2 or main or function 3. Okay. So, and now let's say I'm defining one more variable here. This is a global variable, g. Okay. I defined it here. And now for externing a global variable, we have to use extern. Now I'll remove this. From function, I'll remove extern. Extern int g. Okay. I have included here. And now what I'll do, g equal to 50 or say 99. Okay. I'll print g again. Value of g. Okay. So this is what I am trying to show you, that say g, which is a global variable, in this case it is printed correctly. Okay. Come back to this function. G is a global variable. Where it is defined? G is defined in function 1.c here. And how main.c is able to identify it? Because of this header file. Okay. So this is normally the design, a software design, software architecture, every industry follows. Okay, so you need to have multiple .c and .h files and modularize your entire softwares into different modules. And in every module, you can have a function, a .c and a .h, minimum .c and a .h. Okay. Otherwise, what will happen is you cannot have one .c file for a big project like say. Even I would say refrigerator code is also slightly bigger, if not plain. Okay. So for a plane, you definitely need to have, there will be different control units in plane, in the aeroplane, I mean. So there you need to have an entirely different software architecture. I mean, for every small module, you need to have a different module, and that module should have a header file which is having externs. Okay, so public extern, private extern. I mean, there is no concept called public extern, private extern in C program, but you have to make some naming conventions to your files. Okay, the moment you say private, then you have to use static functions. Okay, so because here if I write static, okay, if I write static here, let's say, this question might come in your mind, right? Can I extern static? It's not possible because external and static together doesn't coexist. You will get an error. Sorry. Static int multiple storage classes in declaration. So it means you cannot extern a static variable for sure. And that itself takes care that you will use static variable only in a file scope or a function scope. Okay. So here we wanted to use it across functions, files, which is prevented directly by a compilation error. Continuing on, I would like to give a few more examples. Okay. So here I have removed extern from integer g. Okay. And what we saw is it should not ideally work. Okay. Because it's like defining integer g again. So I define it here. And even here I have added a header file. It's like again one more definition and one more definition here when I add this. But without some of the compiler flags, okay, I'll show you what are compiler flags. you will not get an error immediately. Okay, so now if I compile, it will simply compile. Okay, so let me add something so that it will compile again. So I just added an error so that to trigger a recompilation. So it recompiled, no error, run it. So we are still able to get a result 99 even though when we don't have an extern here, correct? So for this, usually what I have seen in many of the cases, this will not work. This we get multiple definition error because we're trying to define multiple times. So for that, in the code blocks, for GCC compiler, we have to make this. Yeah, this is called compiler flags, compiler options. So I'm adding this compiler flag now. Okay. So let me re-trigger the build by introducing an error. So there is an error and I'll remove this. Now we should be able to see that error. Okay, there is an error. What is the error? If you come to build log, you can see multiple definitions of G. Okay, first defined here, and when you try to add a header file, it is defined it again there. Okay, so now the moment I add extern here, you don't have any error. You get a clear output. Okay, so extern for a variable is, just remember it is must. Okay, you might have a compiler setting where without extern also it will work, but if you make this a general rule or a general practice while coding, then yeah, you can work with the setting or without the setting, or say in one of the project you have the setting, another project you don't have this compiler setting of -fno -common. Yep. So, and sometimes a developer might not be knowing what compiler options we have to use. So always an industry expects he knows the best coding practices, or at least this is must. Yeah. Wherever I have worked, at least. So this is must. So that's why I added a compiler option, which I thought will be present by default in many cases. Okay. So now I would like to add one more file and extern in the same header file. Okay. Function2.c. Function2.c, what it does, it will again print one integer, h. We printed g and it will print h now. Yeah. So here I can extern. This is just to demonstrate the name of a file, function1.h can extern anything from any other .c file. This is absolutely fine. And now I use it in the function main, and here I will write h equal to 200. Yeah, h equal to 200, and let me print h here. I'll compile it. Oh, sorry. I have included already the header file. Okay, though it's G here, but H. The G is written here, but the value is H. Yep. So the 200 is coming from where? This function 2.c, externed here, used here. Okay. And this can also be used in the function 1 also, because I have included this header file here. Yep. So H can also be used here. Possible.